subscribe to my sister's channel. She will also voice her favorite plots. Let's give her a big asset. Two days before the fox attack on Konoha. A young family consisting of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. We were celebrating, because according to the doctor, soon Kushina will have one angel. At this celebration, not a lot gathered, but not a few of all the familiar Kushins and Minato. Or in one word, 30 people. Men, as usual, are in their repertoire and were already halfway into the world of miracles, which brings a wonderful drink called sake. The women discuss their personal affairs in full, like, what will you name your children? Are you planning more? Have you already come up with who they will become in the future? And other things that all women discuss when someone is preparing to become a mother. At the end of the celebration, when the last guest left and Kushina escorted him out the door, she turned around, and when she saw the mess after the guests, she realized one thing: I can't cope here alone. Therefore, Kushina went to wake up her beloved husband, so that he would help his pregnant wife. Dear, get up, I need your help. Minato asked gently, but he did not want to get up and had already fallen into the world of dreams. That drunk brute. Plan B, took out a frying pan and hit her husband that he flew a couple of meters and woke up. Good night, asshole. Puffed out her cheeks and pretended to turn away. Darling, why are you doing this to me? Surprised by how his wife woke him up. This is for not waking up, you idiot. She was still playing offense. I'm sorry, dear, I didn't mean to ignore you. Kneeling down, he said. I forgive you. Smiling, they both went to the kitchen to wash the dishes. The next morning, Minato woke up first to cook breakfast for Kushina and himself. Having finished cooking, Minato went up to the second floor to help his wife down the stairs, otherwise something bad would happen. Minato opened the door to the bedroom and saw that Kushina was just waking up. He came up and kissed Kushina on the forehead and wished good morning. In response, Kushina also wished good morning. After going down, Minato and Kushina sat down for breakfast. After a while both had already eaten. Minato collected the plates and gave Kushina jasmine tea, which she loves with all her heart. After hearing the praise, Minato went to wash the plates. After finishing, Minato and Kushina went for a walk in the park to gain strength for tonight. And so they strolled around the village meeting their friends who wished good luck and strength in the future. It was already beginning to get dark on the street and thereby warning that it was time to go, and the child was already impatient to come out into the light. At 20:35, Minato and Kushina were already at the delivery site. Kushina changed into clothes that were handed over to one of the nurses and lay down on the surgical table, and Minato put on a robe and stood next to his wife and held her hand. 5 minutes later the doctors came, who will deliver Kushina. The birth began. Kushina was in devilish pain, because this is her first birth, and Minato supported her, although it hurt him, because Kushina squeezed his hand so that his hand turned blue, and crunched. From the intense pain, even Minato let out a tear, but he held on well. Soon the birth ended. Of course Kushina was exhausted, but the boy was born without any problems. And he had one peculiarity: blood-red wings, and the same color of hair. Everyone in the room was in shock, but Kushina remembered something. In my clan there were such uzumaki with wings. They were called guardians then, but for other people they were blood angels. These uzumaki were strong in everything, even the other most experienced uzumaki, and no one could defeat them. Even 10-year-olds knew more than adults, and wings are everything for them. They were also peaceful, but if his loved ones were in danger, then they could go to extremes, kill for the sake of a loved one. But there is one thing: if they kill all his loved ones, then he could fall into darkness, and the only way out of darkness is death. That's it. Minato said, looking at his son and thinking. The nurse gave the child to his mother and congratulated the couple. Kushina looked at her son with such love and tenderness, because this is her little angel who can drive away all the darkness and sadness. Just look at him. Minato rewound his hand. He stood next to Kushina and the little angel, and hugged his wife and said, his name will be Naruto, smiled his warmest smile that he has, but their happiness is not destined to last long. Suddenly all the doctors fell dead, and a mysterious stranger in an orange mask and with a spiral pattern appeared. This stranger snatched the child out of Kushina's hands and put a kunai to the boy's throat, spoke. Give me the Jinchuriki and your brat will be alive. He looked and said to himself, what's wrong with this baby? He has damn wings and a look so soothing that even his soul is so calm. I can't hurt him because he didn't deserve it. Please let him go, he is not involved in all this. I'm begging you, whoever you are, don't hurt him. She spoke with tears in her eyes and almost screaming in pain, because the birth had exhausted her greatly, and she could not speak normally. Please give it to us and go in peace. I promise you that you will not be persecuted. He said it and was ready to grab Naruto from the stranger's hands. After these words, the stranger woke up from the feeling that this child gave him and said the words that he was saying. I said, give me the Jinchuriki, and I'll give it to you and that's it. There's nothing so complicated about it. But why do you need all this? Minato asked the man. Village, this is all the fault of the village, which took away from me the most precious thing I had and therefore I want to destroy it. Said that and threw the baby up. At that moment, Minato managed to grab Naruto with a quick jerk, but an explosive seal was attached to his diaper and she hissed at a friend. Minato threw the diapers away without thinking for a long time and she blew up through him a couple of meters away, and the stranger took advantage of the moment and grabbed Kushina, disappeared. Minato teleported to his home and put Naruto to bed, and he put on his equipment and returned back to the place where the birth was held, but there was no one there, only the corpses of people who helped with the birth. Then Minato heard the roar of a fox that was already destroying the village. Minato was transported to a place where the fox appeared. Minato arrived at the place and found himself next to Kushina, who was already barely alive. Then Minato immediately approached Kushina and picked her up and moved to Naruto. And laid Kushina with her son. Minato, promise you'll come back to us. She said, looking at her husband. I promise that I will come to you at any cost. And Minato left. Kushina stayed with Naruto and hugged him, and he looked at her and smiled, which made Kushina feel calmer and fell asleep with Naruto. Minato teleported to the rock where the faces of the previous Hokage were carved, and the fox noticed him and began to collect the Biju bomb, and Minato began to fold the seal of movements. The fox formed a bomb and shot at Minato, but the Hokage of the leaf is not so simple. His seal worked on the bomb and it moved tens of kilometers from the village, and after a while there was an explosion that a blast wave reached the village. Because of this technique, half of Minato's chakra was spent and he was a masked man and he attacked Minato. After a short period of time, the masked man eventually moved Minato away from the village for a couple of kilometers and a fight began between them. Jumping away from the opponent, Minato took out a new kunai from the bag and ran to the opponent. The first attack was for Minato, but the hand with kunai passed through the opponent's hand. He immediately grabbed Minato's hand. Then he struck with a right to the jaw of Minato. He staggered a little, but releasing the kunai from his hand and unlocking it, moved to him. Turning around, he threw the kunai towards the enemy, but he knocked it up. A second later, Minato appears on top of the masochist with a Rasengan in his hand. I won. Minato said and hit the Rasengan in the back of the opponent. That hour, his opponent was pinned to the ground, and a strange seal appeared on his back. Minato jumped back and watched. But a second later, the opponent appeared on a 2-meter stone. Something white was dripping from his left hand, and 2 chains were sticking out from there. As soon as the opponent started to say something, Minato reappeared next to him and stabbed him in the stomach with a kunai. The opponent realized that if he did not escape now, he would definitely lose. He used his ability and disappeared from the battlefield. Minato moved back home at that hour and, taking his son and Kushina, moved to the battlefield where the fox was. Kushina gave all her last strength and folded several seals. The whole body of the fox was covered with steel chains that pinned him to the ground. After biting Minato's finger, he folded several seals and a Shinigami appeared behind him, pulling his little hands to the nine-tailed one. After 15 minutes, the nine-tailed was sealed in the body of a boy with scarlet wings, and Minato himself died from this technique. Kushina, having reached her angel, fell next to him and lost consciousness. A few minutes later, near the dead Minato and Kushina with their son, who were still alive, a third Hokage appeared along with Umbu. Two Umbu immediately ran up to Minato and Kushina, after which they put their fingers to the neck to find out if there was a pulse. There is no pulse. Informed the one who checked it with Minato, there is a pulse, but unstable. Said the one who checked with Kushina, take Kushina to the hospital with her son. Commanded the third, High Hokage-sama. After these words, Kushina and Naruto disappeared, along with 5 Umbu fighters. Mr. Third, what about Minato? Take him to the morgue, tomorrow we will hold a funeral. Hokage replied, Hi, Minato also disappeared. And the Hokage himself went on important business, yet many people need help now and he could not stay away. After 5 hours, the third Hokage wearily shuffled his feet to the house, but Umbu appeared in front of him. What do you need? Hiruzen asked Umbu. Allow me to report on the condition of Kushina Uzumaki. Permission granted. Kushina Uzumaki is in a coma, for an indefinite period. That's it, so the boy will grow up without a mother. Do you want to put him in an orphanage? I still have to, it's all the elders and I can't do anything about it. Put one Umbu from the leadership of the fourth to him, it will be done. May I take my leave? Permission granted. After these words, Umbu disappeared, to carry out the task. And the third continued his way home. Kushina was still in a coma when Sarutobi Hiruzen ascended to the post of Hokage. Naruto grew rapidly, surpassing his peers in the development of abstract thinking in 5 years, but physically inferior to them. Among the inhabitants of the shelter, Naruto did not stand out in any way, remaining a shadow of others. No one paid attention to him, except for one person who closely followed Naruto's life. Her name was Akame. She got into the shelter later than Naruto for 1 year. On one of the rainy nights of that year, a traveler, exhausted from fatigue and with difficulty shuffling his feet, holding a small child in his arms, dragged himself towards the orphanage. A young girl opened the door to his knock. The traveler handed her the child, having only managed to pronounce her name, after which he collapsed dead. Naruto was lost in thought, talking to himself in his head. Today was one of those boring and unremarkable days that he had become accustomed to spending quietly. In the morning, like everyone else, I had breakfast and went outside. The children started another game, under the supervision of educators, while the teenagers were enthusiastically discussing something among themselves. Not knowing what to do, I went to the library room. The pleasant smell of books hit my nose as soon as I opened the heavy wooden doors. Taking the book about birds, I returned to the clearing where the children were still playing. Finding a quiet place with difficulty, I plunged into reading. The quiet rustle of the leaves of the tree under which I was located helped me to concentrate on interesting moments. The vivid descriptions of the Baskervilles, compiled by an experienced author, lured me so much that I almost missed lunch. Rushing to the dining room, hoping to be on time, I picked up my tray with a strange-smelling lunch. While absorbing another spoonful of this substance, I noticed a girl approaching me. Hello. With a warm smile, the girl said, looking at Naruto with a glance of scarlet eyes. Well, hello. I replied after a slight hesitation. What's your name? She sat down at the table, it would be interesting for me to talk to you. I am Akame. My name is Naruto. Nice to meet you, Naruto. Akame stretched out her thin hand for a handshake, which was considered a sign of strong friendship among people, continuing to be cautious, being not spoiled by communication. I shook the hand of this fragile creature. And why did you decide to sit with me, and not with them? Trying to avoid awkward pauses in conversation with a new person, I said and glanced at the girls who were talking at one of the many tables. I want to get to know you better. You don't mind, do you? No, I don't mind. It seems to me that you are interested in something, since you sat down here. I really wanted to keep you company, otherwise you're sad here alone. Does it show that I'm sad? It is not visible to the ordinary eye, but it feels very good when communicating. In just a few phrases, you can understand a person's feelings, and from the turns of speech, how often he communicates. And, apparently, you rarely talk. Your words and thoughts betray you as a person without friends. I think you won't mind having at least one. Well, yes, I won't mind. That's fine. Akame straightened her long black hair, which, as it seemed from the outside, somewhat hindered her. Let's talk about interests to get to know each other better. I said, straightening up at the table, continuing to devour my lunch. What do you like to do most of all, Akame? To eat, probably. I see, but I like to read and draw. Will you show your drawing sometime? I'm very interested. Well, I don't have many, but they are beautiful. I can't wait to see them. Akame said that. I kept looking at her. The very fact of the existence of a person who was ready to communicate with me all day long seemed like a miracle. After the meal, I went outside to continue reading. Akame followed my example, sitting down in the shade of a tree. Now with a new friend, I opened the book. What's the book about? Akame asked a question. About birds, and I will answer in advance your question. What are they interested in? They are amazing animals, free from all the rules by which we live, and they also soar in the sky, and there they open wonderful landscapes that people have never dreamed of. That's why I'm so interested in them. Wow, are they delicious? What do you mean? Naruto was surprised by this girl's response. Well, delicious? It's just that while you were telling me, I got so hungry and started fantasizing. That's how it is. I am sometimes amazed by your appetite, Akame. Was that a compliment? It's up to you to choose. Then thank you for the compliment. Yeah. Naruto mumbled and started reading the book. Naruto, as always, lost the perception of time and did not notice how Akame was already asleep, leaning her head on the young reader's right shoulder. When Naruto finished reading to the right page, he closed the book and looked at the sky, where the sunset was already showing off, which means it's time to go back to the shelter. Naruto wanted to get up, but remembered about the girl who was with him. Looking at his right shoulder, he noticed how Akame was sleeping sweetly and did not want to wake up. Then Naruto decided to sit still and watch the sunset. After some time, Akame woke up. While yawning sweetly and stretching, Naruto immediately noticed it. Has the dormouse woken up? Ah. Naruto. I'm sorry that I fell asleep on your shoulder. It's just that with you I feel some kind of calm and peace that I didn't notice how I fell asleep. It's okay, but you slept, and I admired the sunset and dreamed. We both looked at the sunset. Grab my hand. He held out his hand to Akame. And of course, thank you. She blushed slightly. Well, let's go, otherwise they probably lost us. Yeah. Akame nodded her head and went back to the house with Naruto. The next morning Naruto woke up from his mortal sleep and went to the bathroom to clean up and cheer up a little. When Naruto finished, he went to the dining room, where the morning breakfast was given out. It included 1 apple, herbal tea and several sandwiches with smoked chicken and tomato, lettuce and also sauce, so that the children would enjoy eating. Naruto stood up from the table and began to leave. Taking another sandwich from the table and taking an apple, he wrapped it in a handkerchief, and headed to the library. To take one book there and study all the material that is in it. Naruto left the library with a book in his hands and went to one of the classrooms, where the teachers passed on knowledge that would be useful to them in their lives. Naruto walked up to the art class and unlocked the door with the key that the art teacher gave him. Before studying the book, Naruto turned on the tape recorder and put in a cassette with music, in the lo-fi genre, where about 500 songs were recorded. These songs were recorded by his teacher, Akame. As it turned out, the tastes in music of the teacher and Naruto are identical and they quickly became friends on this basis. Naruto started with the preparation of the workplace. Taking out a floor easel, he put it next to the teacher's desk, then took out a 60 by 60 canvas and put it on the workplace, and also took out a notebook, ordinary pencils, brushes and paints. But before you create, you need to study the material of this subject. After a short time, Naruto took note of some tricks from the book and without hesitation, he took his notebook and began sketching his sketches. It took a small amount of time, because it is not necessary to work hard on the sketch in the draft, because in the future he will transfer it to a blank canvas. In the notebook, the following were drawn. In the background there was a starry night, and in the center there was a full moon, but the main thing is that he drew a couple in love floating above the ground, where the lover held his beloved by the hands, drowning her in her eyes. Naruto was so lost in thought that he did not see how the teacher was standing behind him. Of course he was scared, to which the teacher laughed. Because of what our young artist, it became a little uncomfortable. But everyone quickly calmed down. The teacher asked to show her what Naruto had sketched in a notebook. After showing her, the teacher sincerely smiled and praised the young artist, and also pointed out a couple of small details in the sketch, and the boy took note of it and quickly edited the drawing and began to prepare to transfer the sketch to the canvas. The teacher stayed to see how her pet would create his creation. The teacher, realizing that it was better not to distract Naruto from work, decided to make 2 mugs of fragrant tea with the taste of wild berries in order to fully relax. Akame went to the cupboard and took 2 mugs and put them on the table, where she had previously left tea with sugar, and began to make tea. Teacher Akame, tea without sugar for me, please. Of course, Naruto. After a couple of minutes, the fragrant tea was already ready, and she went up to the artist and put his mug next to him, and she sat down next to Naruto and began to look carefully. Akame looked at Naruto and remembered herself at that age. She also loved to draw as a child, and this love was born by her mother. Then she was very small and sweet, and she remembered all these moments from life with warmth in her soul. As a child, she was a weak child in terms of health. She was often ill and endured it all hard, but her mother was always there, caring for her little angel, and thanks to this, she did not pay attention to all diseases, because love, mothers, is stronger than all medicines in the world, and nothing in the world will replace this mom's warm and loving smile. That's why she works at the shelter to give love to children and replace their mother. And she did not notice while she was remembering the past. As Naruto had almost finished the picture, she was surprised at herself that she was so deep in her memories. When she came to, she finished her tea and put her and the student's mug on the table and sat back on the chair, starting to carefully examine the picture that the boy has already drawn. Having examined it better, Akame was completely delighted with how Naruto conveyed the emotion of love into the picture, although a couple from the picture are completely black, but then it's clear to a fool that these two feel for each other. Naruto, you are just great. I've never seen anything like this in my life. You did a good job, thank you teacher Akame. It was you who basically taught me and made me love creativity, and in this I am grateful to you. Got up from his chair and bowed in honor of respect. Come on, Naruto, you're embarrassing me. I'm glad I met you. You look just like me when I was a kid. And you tell me about your childhood. Oh, just for you, just not a word to anyone, understand? Nodded his head. So where should I start? Tell us, what were you like as a child? Well, listen carefully. These two were so out of reality that they did not notice how it was time for lunch. But for them, time seemed to have stopped. This conversation was something new. they were getting to know each other more and more. Especially Naruto, he heard so many interesting things about his teacher, which made him not just listen, but also keep the conversation going, and for Irami, Naruto became a son, though not a native, but close mentally, and then she decided that she would definitely take this little man with her. When the teacher looked at the clock, she was confused, because she has things to do today that need to be done today. She got up from her chair and said goodbye to the boy and with a moderate step, left the classroom, and Naruto began to clean up his workplace, and after a few minutes, he took a wrapped handkerchief with food and headed for the exit from the classroom. After locking the classroom with a key, he went to another teacher to hand over the key. After a while, Naruto was near the dining room. He managed to arrive almost on time, because the dining room was already half empty, going to the cook and getting his lunch, which included herbal tea and casserole. He leisurely went to his table. Sitting down at the table, he began to eat slowly, so as not to choke. It took literally 10 minutes, finished the tea and took the dishes to the cook. He went outside again, of course, taking a handkerchief with food. This time Naruto did not decide to take a book, but just sit near a tree and relax to look at nature, thinking about his own. While Naruto was thinking about his own and listening to the sounds of natural noise, he also heard strange footsteps as if someone was walking towards him, and this person was walking quietly so as not to give himself away, and Naruto began to play along and pretended that he did not hear anything. Naruto was sitting with his eyes closed, and when this stranger got close enough, he abruptly turned his head to the man, which scared the stranger, but it was Akame, who, out of surprise, fell to the ground with her 5th point. From this situation, Naruto smiled a little and greeted the girl, asked it, "Hi Akame, where have you been?" "Hello to you, Naruto, I was at the medical checkup." "And how did you notice me?" "I just have a good ear and that's it." "Aren't you hungry?" "Yeah, I'm really hungry." "Then you're lucky today. And?" Slightly tilting her head to the side, she stared at Naruto. Naruto took out a small bag from a handkerchief and opened it. There was 1 apple and a couple of sandwiches. Akame was surprised by Naruto's act, because he specially collected it for her and kept it to give her. Akame with great joy ate sandwiches with an apple and thanked Naruto, hugging him. Naruto of course was surprised, but he did not resist and said that it was just a trifle and there was no need for such thanks, but Akame was grateful to him anyway. By the way, Akame, about the medical check, what did they tell you? Medical checks? She took a thoughtful pose, staring at the clouds. I don't remember. That's how it is. Why would you do that? Tilted her head to the right. Just like that, never mind. Naruto, do you think we will have a family? Family, right? The boy went into short thoughts. I would like to know myself, but you know, even if we don't have parents, we always have each other, and as long as we are together, we can do anything. If you were in danger, I would do everything possible to save you, even if my life was at stake. Naruto reasoned in a calm voice, but he had a blizzard inside, which forced him to express these words. Hey wait. Why did you run away like that? Where are such thoughts going? To say that Akame was shocked by her friend is to say nothing. And? Akame's words brought him to his senses and he almost immediately realized what he had said. I'm sorry, I'm very much at odds. Apparently I have such heredity from my parents. Don't tell me. By the way, I almost forgot, the drawings, will you show them to me? With pleasure, just finish it first, and then we can see, smiled together, and Akame, and so they sat while Akame was satisfied with the food. Suddenly, from nothing, the boy began to hum some melody, and it turned out well for him that even the girl who was eating broke off to listen to the melody that came from his lips. The girl seemed to have gone into a trance and swayed in one direction, then in the other, and the boy in general seemed to have left reality and completely immersed himself in his atmosphere, and now it seems impossible to convey in words what is happening with them if you don't know this feeling yourself, and so time went on in a relaxed atmosphere, and in general time seemed to stop for them, but the boy came to his senses, stopped humming the melody and shook the girl a little, and she returned from her thoughts. After that, they just sat and went about their business, namely, the boy just sat and watched nature, and the girl continued her meal and at the same time immersed herself in her thoughts. Naruto saw that the children were already leaving for the house, approached the girl and saw that she was lost in her thoughts. Shaking her a little to the sides, Naruto said it was time to go back. The girl waved her head, got up and took a handkerchief, went with him into the house. When they entered the room and took off their shoes, they met an art teacher. After greeting each other, Irami looked at them and realizing that this girl was friends with her pet, grinned, went into the room for educators and disappeared behind the door. Akame and Naruto said goodbye and went to their rooms. Entering the room, Naruto lay down on the bed and thought, what was that smirk from Teacher Irami? And what's more interesting, what was that feeling when I was with her? Naruto remembered how he was sitting with Akame, and from the memories he was covered with a slight tremor. After all, he felt something inside Akame, and this something was bad. Naruto did not ponder these questions, but simply covered himself with a blanket and fell fast asleep. That was the end of his day. The next morning, the boy got up a little later than the others, since they were already leaving the bedrooms. Naruto sat on the edge of the bed and began to rub his eyes. With a sleepy yawn, he got to his feet and began making the bed. Having done this minute thing, he went to the bathroom in order to refresh himself and feel a little cheerful. After taking a shower, he began to wipe his face, thinking, can you read a book about musical instruments and learn to play them later? Having finished with the water treatments, he left the shower and headed back to the bedrooms, where he went to the bedside table, changed into a white t-shirt and blue-black shorts. After changing his clothes, his way lay to the dining room, where breakfast was served. This time it was porridge with berries and hot milk. After standing in line for a while, his friend crept up to him and scared him, with the usual words that sounded like, "Good morning." Recovering, Naruto greeted her and together they began to wait for their turn. Soon after taking their breakfast, they went to their favorite place where they had been sitting before. Sitting down at the table, they began to talk to each other, so as not to sit in silence. Their conversations did not make much sense, because they consisted of the most banal questions. How are you? How did you sleep? And other questions, after eating your breakfast and taking it to the table for dirty dishes. He invited Akame to walk with him to the drawing room. Having reached there and touched the handle, the boy opened the door in front of his girlfriend and allowed her to go in first. When he went to pick her up, he saw a teacher who was minding her own business. But when she noticed the newcomers, she was distracted for a while and greeted them, after burying her face in the papers again. The friends, not wanting to disturb her, approached the easel. Naruto went to the paintings that he drew yesterday, put them near the easel and hung one on his. One of the lower ones was with a forest landscape, the second one showed a sandy beach, during a crimson-scarlet sunset. On the easel itself, the last painting was hanging. The one that the boy drew yesterday. Akame looked at it all with great admiration. She definitely liked them. But it was clear how her gaze was riveted to the painting that hung on the easel. She literally could not take her eyes off it. It's just magical, I don't even know what to say. Without taking her eyes off, she said, "Really? I didn't know you'd like her so much." The boy said, a little surprised. "That's right," she noticed. Said the teacher behind the guys, "Even I was a little surprised as soon as I saw it. Do you think so too?" Naruto asked. "Of course. After all, you don't see this every day." The teacher said, a little embarrassed. He said, "This is only a small part of what I can do at the moment." It looks like someone was confused. The teacher smiled. "Naruto, are there others, and?" "No, I just started recently, but I plan to further improve my skills. Of course." She smiled. And maybe we can all go outside together and have a little picnic? And why not? The teacher said with a joyful face. Hurrah, then guys, wait for me for half an hour and wait for me near the exit of the house. Okay, that's right. Akame said with a serious face. That's nice, then I went to get ready. See you at the exit. And my opinion is taken into account, right? The boy said with a sigh, yes. Akame replied with a grin. Half an hour passed unnoticed by these two. As soon as Irami approached, they left the house and the teacher told them to follow her to a certain place. Akame and Irami were talking violently about something, but the boy did not listen to them, but looked around the neighborhood and memorized the road, and in addition to looking at it, he marveled at the terrain, because they were walking through a mixed forest. The boy saw a lot of forest inhabitants, who did what they ran through the forest thicket, and the inhabitants of the forest also flew over them. In addition to animals there was also a lot of vegetation, which led all three companions to picking berries. 20 minutes later, they finally reached their destination. This place turned out to be a large clearing on a hill, and below it, there were many flowers and bush berries. The girl was delighted that she could not restrain herself and rushed to the vegetation, and thanks to her carelessness, the girl stumbled and rolled down the hill on the soft and fluffy grass and began to make an angel. It is clear that the girl was happy. The teacher couldn't help but smile, and Naruto, seeing how his girlfriend was having fun, smiled slightly. After that, he began to help Irami with laying out a large sheet and then laying out all the contents in the basket, and he also noticed that the teacher took a 6-string guitar and immediately asked her. Teacher Irami, do you know how to play the guitar? Only slightly. I have only recently started to try myself in musical creativity and I want to boldly show that I am good at playing. She said confidently. Can you teach me? Looking at her with puppy dog eyes. Well, she mumbled. Well, it will be difficult for me, because I can only explain something in drawing, but to teach someone on instruments, this is already beyond my authority. But you said yourself that you play well. Well, how can I explain it to you? The fact is that I can't really explain how everything works on the guitar and how to pick up notes and put my fingers. Tell me honestly, how long have you started playing guitar? Well, looked at him. A week. Now everything is falling into place. Well, then at least play at least some composition so that I understand a little. You are welcome. Well, just for you. Exhaling, she concentrated on the guitar and then she started playing. She smoothly moved her fingers between the strings, and the melody that came from the guitar was beautiful and harmonious. The boy, listening to the melody, closed his eyes. For a moment he saw a picture, twilight, a clearing with fireflies and a girl looking at him with a warm and gentle smile, holding a glowing ball in her hands. The boy opened his eyes and remembered the picture that beheld him and continued to watch the teacher play, and the girl also joined in listening to the melody. When the last note was played, Irami opened her eyes and saw how those two babies were staring at her. Because of this, the teacher was a little confused and suddenly heard clapping. Looking at these two, she saw a praising look, especially from the girl. It was magical. Akame said. Hee, thank you. Can we have a snack then? Yeah. They nodded their heads. Irami put the guitar aside and handed out one onigiri to everyone. The girls also chatted violently, and Naruto, with his character, sat on the sidelines as a guest and ate a yummy. The girls noticed this and asked to join the conversation. And the boy interrupted with this that he had nothing special to dilute their conversation with, but it was not difficult for both of them and he joined in. Everything would have continued like this, but alas, time is not infinite and they had to pack up all their things and go back. Naruto, you can carry a guitar with a case, if it's not hard for you. Irami asked, holding several bags of things. She could of course carry herself just by giving a few bags to Akame, but decided to feel sorry for her good teacher. Naruto replied, going up to the guitar that had been lying around the case all this time, putting it in it. He closed the zipper and picked it up, threw it over his back. But since the case was quite large, he had to pull up the straps, and now, it snuggled tightly against his back. Having done all this, Naruto came up and took 4 packages, 2 in each hand. They were lying near the former location of their camp. There were leftovers in these bags, so it was necessary to carry them to the nearest dumpster. Soon they reached the village where Naruto threw out the trash. He took the bags from his hands and carried them to the shelter. When did they get there? Then we stood in the corridor, where the corridor going to the right led to the bedrooms. And the one on the left led to the training wing. Naruto, I'm going to my room. Akame said at the crossroads. Irami, Naruto, good night. She said with a smile, then turned around and skipped down the corridor to the bedrooms. And you have a good sleep, Akame, see you again. The teacher said, and then looked at the boy. Well, Naruto, it's just the 2 of us. You're not going to leave a fragile girl and carry her bags where you need them, are you? With a slight smile, she said, and where should I go? With a sigh, he replied, starting to walk to the training wing. Hee, I always knew that I could rely on you. They walked to the office for several minutes. Reaching him, Irami opened the door and let Naruto go in first. After entering, he put the bags near the teacher's desk, after which he began to take off the guitar case, but he was stopped. Keep it for yourself, this is my gift to you for tomorrow. Teacher, I knew that tomorrow is Naruto's birthday. So I decided to give a guitar to a student. Anyway, today she realized that, although she plays well, but she no longer wants to experience this unbearable pain on the pads of her fingers. Besides, it can play a cruel joke on her, because recently she agreed to participate in the competition and had to draw a picture. Naruto opened the door to the room, saw a gray-haired old man. He saw the boy in the doorway, invited him to sit on the bed that was opposite him. Hi Naruto. Hello Grandpa. Do you mind talking to me? Yes, I don't mind. That's good. Listen Naruto, I have a conversation for you, about your future life. What about her? You know, I and the council decided that you should go to the Shinobi Academy, and we will also allocate an apartment for you where you will live. Naruto, you are a capable boy, you have a lot of good qualities that you have to reveal and show. I expect good results from you. Wait, Grandpa, you're putting too much information on me. It's okay, you still have time to think about all this. Excuse me, Mr. Hokage. Standing in the doorway, Irami said, can I join the conversation? Oh. Irami, of course. Did you want something? Yes, I'm talking about Naruto. Yes, tell me. I'm adopting Naruto. She said decisively. What? Naruto said in a surprised voice. Naruto, I overheard your conversation and I don't want you to be alone all your life. Yes, and I'm attached to you, Naruto, what do you say? Hiruzen asked, looking into the boy's eyes. Naruto drawled, thinking what to answer, while his brain was slowly and very confidently melting from the amount of information. I'm confused right now. Hahaha, grandfather laughed, what's funny? Naruto shouted out in emotion, nothing. So, Mr. Hokage, will you let me adopt him? I don't mind, I'll be only glad. And the soul will be at peace. The old man rejoiced. After a short conversation, Hiruzen wished them good luck and happiness in the family, and then left. The boy was at a loss, but at the same time happy, because he had a family. And she hugged the boy and was as happy as he was. After Irami and Naruto said goodbye and the girl left, and the boy lay down on the bed with a calm soul and thought a little, and fell asleep with a smile on his face. After yesterday, the boy was exhausted in terms of mental perception, but at the same time he was happy, because he was adopted, and because of this, he overslept breakfast. But the boy was woken up by his girlfriend, who gently whispered in his ear, wake up, after which she began to push his sleeping carcass in different directions, giving it quite a lot of strength. Waking up, Naruto began to pull himself up and rub his eyes, then went to the bathroom, and the girl began to wait for him on the bed. Soon the guy came out and licking his hair with his hands asked, "What time is it there now?" 10 o'clock in the morning. Akame replied in a cheerful voice, apparently she had been awake for a long time. "I've overslept so much." The words flashed through Naruto's head. "Since you're awake, do you want to have breakfast? I just asked in the dining room so we could eat a little later, thank you, but you shouldn't have done that. It's my problem that I overslept." Naruto said, sitting down next to the girl. "Nothing, it's not difficult for me. By the way, I have some good news." Akame said with a smile, obviously the news was very good. "Really? Will you share the information? Teacher Irami will take us in." She cried out joyfully, "Us?" Naruto had a little shock, even though he knew that the teacher had to shelter him, but after learning that Akame would be with him, he was infinitely happy. "Yeah, us. Are you glad that I'm going to be your little sister now?" Akame didn't stop smiling and, "Yeah, I'm glad. The teacher said that today we will move into her apartment." "That's how it is. Come on, change your clothes and let's go eat, otherwise the cooks won't be waiting for us forever. I already had a hard time persuading them to delay our portions until 10:30. Then we must hurry." After a while, they reached the dining room and went to the window through which the kitchen was visible. Akame immediately called the cooks and they understood almost without words what the girl wanted. So soon they were sitting at a table and having breakfast, talking about the future. After breakfast, they went to the drawing room, where the teacher Irami was already. They realized this from the speaker from which the music was coming. After unlocking the door and greeting her, they entered the room. Looking up from work, Irami greeted the guys and invited them for a cup of tea. Naruto did not refuse, but Akame preferred to refuse, because despite her growing body, she watches her figure, and even more so she was now full, so much so that drinking a cup of tea would mean that she would temporarily stop moving. So she sat down at the table and put her head on her palms and smiled, looking at her family. "Mom, when are we going to get ready to move into our house?" "Well, first let's sit and drink tea and chat, and then we can get ready." Okay. By the way, aren't you painting a picture for some kind of participation?" Naruto asked Irami and took a sip of the wonderful tea. "And you're smart." "Yes, I took part in one event and if I can win, I can get 65,000 read." "Wow, is that a lot or a little?" the girl asked. "Of course it's a lot, so pray for me." "I will pray to all the gods I know." "But you don't know any god." Naruto tried to joke, "And here I know." Akame puffed out her cheeks, turning away. "And who is it?" "The god of food is Inari, pf, he. At first the people sitting at the table grinned, after which they began to laugh. "Okay, let's get ready." "Yes." the girl exclaimed. Irami, Akame and Naruto went to the teacher's office and took a suitcase there and headed to the room where the girl lived. After collecting clothes in a couple of minutes, we headed to Naruto's room. There were few clothes, a pair of shorts and a football with socks. It took at least a minute. "Well, that's it, now you can move." Council building. A lot of important people of Konoha are gathered here now. And to be more picky, now at a chic stone table, where there is a hole in the middle, the heads of the Konoha clans are sitting. At first it may seem that they decided to get together and have tea in a dark room, where there are only wall lamps from light sources, consisting of a saucer and a lit candle, but in fact, they all gathered to discuss several important topics, which was brought to them by a messenger from the outside world, and as befits a messenger, he stood out very much among the locals. For example, by wearing a black suit with a white shirt, and his black hair with a slight shade of blue, only emphasizes it more. His face, which was half covered by a black mask, And the other half was covered by his long hair. Hiruzen, who is this with you? The smart guy from the Nara clan, Shikaku Nara, was the first to break the silence. This is the messenger from Kaminoto. Hiruzen, who is the head of the village, replied. Or whatever his name is, Hokage here. The guy heard these words and bowed slightly, putting his hand to his heart. Let me introduce myself. I am a note, and it is a great honor for me to stand before the heads of the Konoha clans. And since when have young people learned to salute so well? Asked the local rewound weirdo, who is also the head of the root of Anbu, Shimuro Danzo. Noth straightened up and a smile barely showed through his mask. It turns out that the mask adapts to the movement of his lips, and if he decides to show his tongue, nothing will stop him from doing it. It is flattering for me to hear your praises in my direction. But perhaps, Note's voice broke off and continued, but with a different intonation, it's time to tell you why I gathered you. Having finished the sentence, the whole building became a haven of silence. Silence hung for several seconds, lasting an eternity. This guy clearly knows how to take a break and knows how to grab everyone's attention. I came here for one reason. Represent your master who has noticed a problem in your village. The guy fell silent again, but he was interrupted. Note, can you elaborate? We are all very interested in what kind of problem we have. Said the interrupter. Hiruzen, the problem in your village lies precisely in you. With this one sentence, the note made everyone very surprised. You are over 60 years old. And this worries my master, so that's the problem. Am I too old for the Hokage post? Hiruzen turned to Note, to which he nodded. You know, I agree with that. What? Hiruzen. We still need you, do not renounce the post. Shikaku shouted. I'd like to, but he's right. All the previous Hokages did not rule for so long, and managed to achieve prosperity. What about me? How many years I've been on duty and I'm only going through troubles. Hiruzen. The head of the Nara said softly, as if he was regretting something. Well, Hiruzen, happy retirement to you. Danzo grinned. Don't even hope. Sarutobi replied and locked eyes with the main root, as if they were ready to tear each other apart at any moment. It's fun here, not said in a normal tone, but I'll tell you what. The Lord told me that the ruler should be less than 45 and more than 20. He explained it by the fact that the range between these years more progressive and will allow you to achieve the best. T.S. Chimuro clicked. Who flew with the Kage post? Well, who's broken off here, and an old friend? Hiruzen scoffed, who apparently forgot about his resignation and instantly cheered up. Shut up, okay, while old friends are talking. Why don't you start a discussion? Not asked, who had casually crept up with Shikaku. True, and so Fugaku, Hayashi, Shikaku began to list everyone who fit the requirements. With these words, they began the real selection of candidates, which was watched by the messenger, who finally sat down at the table, put his head on his palms and cheerfully swung his legs, trying not to blow them on the floor. It seems like an adult who can grab attention with a few words. But still, he behaves like a child. Is this his lifestyle, or is he just pretending? In any case, the clan heads will never know about it, while he was watching them. Danzo and Hiruzen left the conference room. Nevertheless, Sarutobi nobly began to gloat over him while the others were conferring. Beyond, can you stop already? Danzo shouted, all on edge. All right. Listen, do you want me to make you happy? Will you finally give up? But no. Look, did you know that there is something important in you that I don't have? You say, something important. Come on, tell me. You have bandages on, but I don't. PHPHP. The former Hokage laughed. Ha, 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 couldn't think of anything more original? Angry, tired Danzo. Okay, I won't joke anymore. Where are you going? what difference does it make to you? Yes, I have nothing to do. So I ask, can my old friend entertain me? You won't wait, and I think you can still. Wasn't it interesting for you to send your ANBU to follow the boy? There was silence for a few seconds. Although it wasn't particularly visible, Danzo was dumbfounded. Well, nothing to say? Ah, Shimuro Danzo, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, of course you don't. And who recently visited my office and stole information about the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed? And after that, as if it was, did you put copies there? Did you think I wouldn't notice the substitution? Do you have proof of the substitution? If not, please get off me. I have plans for this day and you are not included in them. Oh, how angry we are. There is no proof, not yet. But be sure I'll come to you soon. And if I find out that you are planning to do something with Jinchuriki, I will personally send you to the next world. The farce. Only this word can describe everything that is happening in the meeting room right now. At first everything was fine. The heads chose who could be appointed candidates for the post of Hokage. But suddenly, someone decided to weigh all the pros and cons. And the cons were what are not simple, and after realizing them, the heads of the clans made a single decision. Start pushing the Kage post on top of each other. This went on for about 10 minutes. Until Noth laughed out loud. Although it is understandable, he rarely gets assignments where he can relax and watch such fun. Huh, you're so funny. Wiping away a tear, Noth said, okay, the gentleman knew that this could happen. That's why he asked me to install something dangerous on the square. Namely, a poison of the highest class, which, when ingested into the lungs, causes coughing with blood and, a little later, death. What did you just say? With a serious look at the note, Shikaku looked, I'm saying that if you don't hurry up and turn on the brain, then all the villagers will be dead. Ha ha ha. With his laugh, Noth disappeared as if he had never been here. Hayashi. Shikaku shouted. Can you see what is on the square? No, there are special walls here, through which even my Byakugan will not see. He makes us move. I thought that I'll sit at a meeting, and then I'll come home and have lunch. Said a good man, just like in that saying, there should be a lot of good people. He is a Kimichi Chuza, it's not the time to think about lunch. The lives of the whole village are hanging on us now. Said Fugaku, who is the captain of the Konoha police and also the head of the Uchiha clan. After these words, everyone immediately headed for the exit. And as soon as they came out on Mount Kage, namely, the road from their secret conference hall led there, Hayashi and Fugaku used their eyes. One was trying to see something that looked like poison. But there are always a lot of residents on the square and it is simply unrealistic to see something among them. Even if you can see every person in the square. The second one, as if an X-ray scanned the entire area and found something similar on a bottle on which who would have thought? It says, poison. And he was standing among the glass bottles, but there was no inscription on them anymore. I found it, Hayashi said, after which, with a single team with the heads of the clans, he ran to the square. After a short period of time, they were there. Some heads immediately began to evacuate people away from the square. The rest made sure that no one approached the poison, and as soon as the square was vacated, 10 meters above the poison, the sounds of a flute were heard. After the sounds, the culprit appeared, the notes, which began to descend from the air, on a black umbrella. Congratulations, you have passed the test. In a cheerful tone, Noth said, landing next to the poison. The others cautiously, immediately moved away from the poison. But even in such a situation, they were ready to attack at any moment. What does it all mean? Fugaku shouted, it was just a test. My master told me to do it. Only a person who can see the inscription written by the chakra should become a Hokage. That's what he told me. So, there is really no poison. And in this bottle, Noth took a clear bottle and opened the lid. The greatest creation of our scientists. A mixture of water, sugar, dyes, and it's not clear what else. But all this has a name, cola. And you can drink it. To prove his words, Noth began to drink the contents, so it turns out well. Were we just making such a fuss? Hayashi, the head of the Hyuga clan, said with relief and disappointment, no, not for nothing. Replied Noth, who had drunk more than 50% of the contents of the bottle. You found out who should become Hokage. So that's my mission, completed. Goodbye. Not, he put the umbrella on his shoulder, after which he was picked up by the wind, which carried him somewhere. But flying over the heads of the clan heads, he left them a gift that flew right into the hand of the head of the Akamichi clan. Here you go, big guy, the story of Akame, Naruto, and Irami. Half an hour later, all three were already at the gates of the village, Konoha, where they were met by the guards of the gate. After a short dialogue, they were allowed into the village. Akame and Naruto were surprised by the beauty of the village, houses, residents and, in principle, everything. And she offered them a snack, to which two guys agreed. After 2 hours of walking, they reached an apartment where there were 10 floors, which surprised the guys, and they also learned that they would live on the top floor. After another 15 minutes, they reached the apartment, opening the door, and she invited them to go in first. After taking off their shoes, their mother offered to show the apartment where everything is. First she showed the bathroom, then the living room. It was a decent size. There was a large sofa, a coffee table and a TV, and on the left side of the room there was a kitchen. The display of the apartment is almost finished and everyone went to the corridor, where there were 2 rooms on the left and on the right. On the right side of the corridor there was a room and a kitchen. The room was ordinary, gray wallpaper on the walls, linoleum of a wood dark texture, a stretch gray ceiling, a bed, a chest of drawers, a table with an armchair and a bed. On the left side was Naruto and Akame's room. The room looked so unusual that Naruto was immediately struck by the fall and the boy immediately said, "Can I live here?" To which Irami laughed at her son's surprised face and agreed. The boy immediately entered the room and began to inspect it up and down and even went to the balcony, where there was a table and an armchair, as well as other interior paraphernalia. The girl also did not stand still and also examined everything. She immediately noticed the first bed and jumped on it and said, "This is mine." And despite this, she was glad that her children liked this room. After she began to lay out their clothes on the nightstands, there was also a chest of drawers, but she decided that it would be better to keep clothes in them for the time being, because they had few clothes. And I decided to go shopping tomorrow, and today let the children have a rest from everything. It was lunchtime and it was decided to cook dinner, because there were products, and after not much thought, she decided to cook soup, which her mother taught to cook. After 47 minutes of cooking, the soup was cooked, and after she called her children for dinner, when the stay-at-home people came, they sat down on soft chairs and said "Bon appetit," and began to have dinner. After washing the dishes, Irami escorted the children to the room. She kissed everyone on the forehead and wished them calm again and went to her room and went to bed in a good mood and fell asleep soundly. The next day, the children were woken up by their mother to have breakfast. It was clear from the children that someone had had a good night's sleep, and someone had not. They went to the bathroom to wash and brush their teeth, then headed to the kitchen, where their mother was waiting for them with breakfast. "And so my guys, today we have a busy day. Have you already planned everything, Mom?" Naruto asked. "Yes. Today we will go to the mall," she exclaimed. "We're going to have a lot of fun today. Let's go to the entertainment center, then we'll eat delicious food, and then we'll go to the clothing store, otherwise you don't have much to wear." "I agree." Akame shouted when she heard about shopping. "I don't mind either. I'll look at the books at the same time." "That's it, then it's all settled. The center opens at exactly 10 o'clock, and now it's 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's okay, we'll spend these 2 hours usefully, namely, we'll walk around the village, otherwise you have recently started living here and therefore I want you to know the area at least a little. I personally don't mind, and Akame will be only too happy, right? Clothes, clothes, clothes. Akame muttered under her breath like a crazy woman, as if for her clothes are a gift from above. I think she doesn't mind. Okay, eat and then get dressed. Yes, Mom, said the children. After a while, everyone was already on the street, where the bright sun was shining. Everyone was happy except Naruto. He liked the sunset and the night, and he himself did not understand why this particular time of day. After inhaling the air, he resigned himself to it and everyone went for a walk around the village. During these 2 hours, Irami showed a lot of interesting places that the children clearly liked and she was glad of that. When it was already past 10 o'clock, the guys headed to the shopping center. Upon entering the room, the guys were surprised, especially the girl, to see such a large-scale size of this center. And as Irami said, they went to the entertainment department, where there were so many things that could not be described in words, where they had a lot of fun. Then we went to the diner, where an interesting incident happened while Naruto and Irami were having lunch. Akame had already eaten her portion and now, she was just bored. But at one point she uttered the following words: I want to make a fuss. She said and grabbed a stack of toothpicks. Grabbing them, she instantly got up from the table and ran under the bewildered face of the waitress. A moment later, she had already left the establishment. Naruto saw all this and ran after her. And Irami apologized to the waiter and paid for the order, and then ran after her children. When she left the cafe, she no longer saw them and started asking people who had seen them. Naruto ran after his sister with all his might. He was surprised by his sister's endurance, but he did not stop for a second. And when he stopped his impudent sister by grabbing her shoulder, he said, Akame, it was hard to keep up with you and tell me why you took these toothpicks. I was bored and that's why I took them. And even more so, we didn't have them at home. She would have told us so and we would have bought them, but no, they had to be stolen. Well done. Out of breath, he said, you know what? What? Because of you, we got lost in this trading floor and now, stop this frivolity of yours and take away this insolence of yours. The boy said rudely. I'm sorry, said the girl with a sad face. I'm sorry, because of this incident, I lost my temper. Mom will scold us now, won't she, brother? I do not know, but we need to find the place where we were as soon as possible, so that Mom will find us as soon as possible. Okay, yes, that's great. As far as I remember, we turned around this crossing. Let's go. He took Akame's hand. After a while, they reached the right place and sat down on a bench and began to wait. All this time, they sat in silence, not knowing what to say. Everyone was thinking about their own, and a minute later their mother found them. She immediately ran to them and hugged them tightly. Oh, thank heaven I found you. Speaking with tears in his eyes. Don't do that again, okay? Yes, Mom. The children said in unison. I was so worried about you, I thought I wouldn't find you. I'm sorry, Mom, I didn't mean to run away from you. Akame seemed to highlight the last words, that is, she didn't want to run away, but she wanted to steal, said Naruto. Nothing, my dear, nothing, the main thing is that you are safe and sound. For me this is the most important thing. Okay, let's forget this event like a bad dream and go on our journey, okay? Yes, Mom. Said the girl, and then they went to the side with the clothing department, where the children chose according to their preference. They stayed there for a very long time. After all, Akame had been waiting for this all day. After that, on the way, they went to the book department, where the boy took a couple of books. In this center, they translated the time well, as much as 6.5 hours and headed home, time skip / after a shopping trip, a whole year has passed. The children were quite successful in getting to know the village in which they live. To get to know the neighbors, but they never decided to make friends. Because of that, they had no one but each other. Everyone spent their free time in their own way. Naruto usually drew or read, and Akame preferred only to read, sitting not far from her brother. Otherwise, everything was like ordinary people. Weekends are spent with mom, weekdays working on something, and so we are transported to the present time. Everyone is sitting in the kitchen and having breakfast as usual, chatting among themselves. When suddenly Irami did not change the topic to the one that the children still did not even know. By the way, soon you will go to study. Have you already figured out who you will become? Irami asked after finishing her breakfast and switching to coffee. Mom, what do you mean, go to school? I thought we'd always be at home reading books. Akame asked, tilting her head slightly to the side. Of course it won't always be like this, silly. You need to grow up, gain knowledge. For example, take Naruto, he seems to be smart and talented, but weak in body. And you, too, are no different from him in strength. But if, for example, you go to the Faculty of Heroes, then you can become much stronger. The Faculty of Heroes? Is it like shinobi in our village? Naruto asked. Well, you could say that. But heroes are much more powerful. For example, do you know about the city of Kaminoto? I heard something about him in the village. And in many books it is written that they are from there. But as it is, I don't know anything more about him. Yeah, that's what seclusion does to children. Irami muttered to herself. Okay, listen up. Kaminoto is a united city that was founded by our fourth Hokage. But because of his death, a man calling himself a ruler now rules there. The problem is that for the entire existence of this city, no one ever found out his name. So let's go back to the city, namely to the part where I said that this is a united city. The very name suggests that this is the only city where 5 great villages united. Because of that, it became quite good in all aspects of life there. The most delicious food, because the best chefs are brought up there. A good education, as there is an individual approach to each child. Good hospitals where 90% of all existing diseases are treated. And most importantly, the crime rate in this city almost reaches 0. Because of these very heroes, wow, what a healthy city. Akame admired. Yes, many people think so. Therefore, everyone is trying to move from villages like this, there. But to enter the Academy of Heroes, you need to get a message from there, and you can get it only by having direct connections with the head of the academy, or by receiving a power of attorney from the Shinobi Academy, which you will enter in a week, then we'll have to try. Right, brother? Akame smiled, looking at her brother. Only you. After all, I don't want to become a hero. And what do you want to become? Irami asked. I want to honor traditions and become a shinobi. Oh, well, all right. Then protecting your sister until she can take care of herself, okay? Hey. I don't need protection. Akame pouted her cheeks resentfully and turned away. Yes, yes, and who was afraid of a cockroach that once appeared in the kitchen and screamed in fright, brother? Kill that evil, please. I'm scared. And then you wanted to cook it, is it true for Akame? Irami was surprised. No. It's all a lie, everything was accurate, but on the contrary, knowing your daughter, that's exactly what you wanted to do, Mom, and you there too. That's it, I'm offended. Akame got up from the table and ran to her room, where she bolted herself. She's been touchy lately, noticed Irami. Okay, Naruto, I went to work. I'll be back in the evening with sweets. Irami got up from the table and went to the exit. Naruto followed her to close the doors. And then he went to the common room where he lives with Akame. But it looks like now this room belongs entirely to Akame, who locked herself in. Naruto had to persuade his sister to leave the room for 4 hours. But it only worked out when she smelled food outside the door. So they reconciled again, and soon after a few hours, Irami came to say that she brought ice cream with her, which the children loved so much. That's how Irami was able to get forgiveness from Akame. A week later it was early in the morning, and I was in the kitchen, preparing a surprise and a delicious breakfast for my children. While they were sleeping sweetly, the children, after about 20 minutes, smelled a delicious aroma from the kitchen and came in a half-asleep state. When they went there, they found their mother, who had a cheerful smile, and it made them feel a little uncomfortable, as if there was some kind of intent behind this smile. They sat down at the table and began to eat. "Well, kids, are you ready for today?" Mom asked, still smiling mysteriously. "For admission to the Shinobi Academy?" The boy asked. Irami nodded her head slightly. "Well, it seems so." The boy squinted his eyes. Question mark. "What does it mean, like yes?" "Mom, you know that we used to stay at home and study together." You guys are well, you can't stay at home all the time and do your own business, and you're my Naruto. You said yourself that you want to follow in the footsteps of your ancestors. Isn't that right?" "Yes, but Akame and I will stand out too much there." "And with what?" "We are too advanced in development, and even more so we will be excellent students there, and we would not like that." "Yes, Akame? I don't know about you, but I will have to be different to get that power of attorney. You see, Akame is striving for something, so don't be lazy either." Everything is against me. What did you want?" "Do you think you can become someone and not stand out at the same time? You will be different even with your hair color. It's not often you meet someone with red hair like yours." The boy had nothing to say to this. All the words made sense, so there was no point in arguing. "Then it's decided. At 9 o'clock, admission to the academy begins, and this tedious speech about the will of fire. It will be hard, and even in such sunny weather. I'll definitely get a tan there." "What's wrong with that?" the girl asked. "My skin will peel off and I will be all red like a tomato." "If that's the case, then I don't want you to become a tomato, so I'll have to hide somewhere. The main thing is that I take a picture of you." "Ha!" The children were surprised at the same time. "What's that for?" "Of course, as a keepsake." "Okay," with drooping voices, the children said, because today their mother probably could not be persuaded of anything. "Oh, yes, I almost forgot. I bought you presents." "And what kind of gifts? Are these goodies?" the girl asked. "No, my dear, it's much better." "What could be better than oatmeal cookies with milk?" Akame said what she wanted most of all right now. "Phone," said Irami, and after a moment she heard her daughter start crying. "What's that for?" the boy asked. "So that I can contact you and know where you are." "I see. And what kind of phone at least?" "This is the most popular phone at the moment." "Let me guess. Is that a bitten off apple?" "Yes." "How did you guess?" "It's just that you're walking with him now." "Ah, that's how it is. Well done, Naruto. And I also give you headphones so that you won't be bored." "Thanks. Put the dishes in the sink and blow to change." "Okay, Mom," said the children. After a few minutes, the children changed their clothes and went out of the room into the corridor, where their mother was waiting. After putting on their shoes, they left the apartment and locked the door, headed to the place of the ceremony. When they arrived, they found a huge crowd where there were children with their parents. A few minutes later, the fifth Hokage himself came out, Hayashi Hyuga, the head of his own clan. The fifth began the ceremonial speech, just as my mother said. Naruto and Akame were standing in the shade under a tree where there was a swing. Without thinking twice, they sat down on it and began to swing. After 30 minutes, classes of students and their teachers began to sound out. Irami said goodbye to her children and they went to their classes. It's not strange, but Akame got into the class with her brother, which she was glad of. After entering the auditorium, the two sat down next to each other. They were sitting in the first row at the last desk, detached from everyone. Sitting there, all the students could be seen and they looked at them. Brother, do you think we'll find friends here? Akame asked, leaning her elbow on the desk and holding her head in the palm of her hand. Akame, maybe we won't show that you and I are brother and sister? Lying on the desk, my brother asked, why is that? My sister was indignant, I just don't want to. Well, if you want so much, thanks. I don't think we'll find any friends here. Finally answered the question, Naruto. Well, yes, they still don't look very smart. Akame suddenly stared at someone from the class, but some are not deprived of beauty. Who else are you talking about? Naruto got up slightly from the bed. And why are you suddenly interested? The girl looked with a grin. Are you jealous of your own little sister? Why all of a sudden? MGM, you're still jealous. Don't be afraid, at least one of our classmates is handsome, unlike you, but I'm not interested in him. Phew. Naruto suddenly exhaled. Stop, why did I exhale? Her personal life should not concern me. No, you shouldn't. Wow, she's very popular. Drew Akame's attention to someone. Who else is there? Naruto looked at the class and noticed a cluster of people, about one girl. She was sitting not far from the first desk. And as far as one could see, she had white hair braided in two tails. Although there were a lot of guys around her, but Naruto's eyes did not let him down. She hides boredom behind a beautiful mask. You're right, she's popular. Naruto replied, but Akame didn't tell him anything in response. Then he had to look at his neighbor and notice that she did not take her eyes off this little white one. So that's who's your type? Naruto said, and at the same time touched his neighbor's shoulder. She did not expect this, issued a squeak to the entire audience, which attracted a lot of unwanted attention, but it didn't matter to her right now. She was taking revenge on her big brother, who dared to encroach on her while she was flying in the clouds. After 10 blows to the head, Naruto finally could not raise his head and went into a deaf defense. It would have gone on like this if there hadn't been silence in the classroom, which Akame noticed and sat down in her seat. The silence was caused by one reason: a teacher came into the classroom. That after going to the blackboard he wrote his first and last name there, Iruka Umino. Then he turned to the class. Hello guys, my name is Iruka Umino. From today, I am your homeroom teacher for your training time. Everyone has already heard a lot about the Will of Fire, so I will not repeat the words of our 5th Hokage. And so let's start with the roll call. I will call your name and surname, and I will ask the named one to get up and introduce himself. That's how we get to know each other better. So, let's begin. Iruka went to the table and picked up a cool magazine from there. Kurama Ayako, the girl Akame had noticed, was the first to get up. Rising, she left the desk and stood between the rows, turned to the class. My name is Ayako, as it was said earlier, I am from the Kurama clan. I hope we all become friends. The girl leaned forward slightly, then stood up straight and furtively met the eyes of one girl from the back desks while she was sitting down. And she is well-mannered, knows how to behave in society, and I saw a lot of guys gathered around her before I came in, which means she has a remarkable charisma. Interesting girl. Okay, let's see what happens next. Iruka pondered, after which he coughed slightly into his fist and continued. Thank you Kurama Ayako. And so the next Kuruzuchi Akame. Akame heard herself and was a little nervous, but it didn't affect her. After all, even if she was nervous, but she can restrain emotions at the right moment. Rising to his feet and, like Ayako, coming out from behind the desk. She began to introduce herself. "My name is Kuruzuchi Akame, I'm glad to meet everyone." Akame introduced herself briefly and sat back at her desk. Ah! Why was I called the next? It turns out Akame was on edge because of embarrassment in front of that girl. The cue reached Naruto, getting up from the desk, but without leaving it, he only said his name. "Naruto Kurutsuki." He said and sat back down. It seems the teacher was satisfied with his greeting, so he continued the roll call and soon finished. "And so, since we've all met, I won't keep you long on your first day, so," Irika paused a bit, as if enjoying the joy of the children, and then continued. "So you write a test for 100 questions, and then you can be free." With one sentence, Yumino destroyed all the joy in the group. All the children began to be indignant, but Irika only took out the questionnaires and put them on the table. Ayako saw this and almost immediately volunteered to help. So she and Irika handed out sheets for 100 questions to everyone. After that, each of them returned to their seats and went about their business. After receiving the form, Naruto first decided to read it, although the test looks like an entrance test for incoming children. But there are questions here that will be answered only by those who will be a little smarter than the rest. But after the 90th question, hell begins. Even I'm not sure what I'll answer here. And so, then I will answer 75 points and I think it will be enough. Not everyone here is so stupid, am I right? Naruto thought and looked at everyone, still slightly changed his point of view. Soon he finished with the test and looked at Akame, who was sitting not far from him. But it was the first time he saw his sister so focused. Then Naruto had to take a closer look. On the upper part of the sheet on the side was the signature of the 90s. Every 10 questions were signed by this type, and since she is there and is moving her brain so much, did she really decide to answer them correctly? But just as Naruto started to think about it, the door in the classroom slammed shut. It's like someone came out. Instinctively, the boy scanned the audience. And among all there was only Ayako, and on the teacher's desk the answer form lay alone. After about 20 minutes, Akame suddenly exhaled and began to stretch her arms out to the sides. Apparently she was overextended. After that, she looked at her brother and looked away to the teacher's desk. The hint was clear as day, so a minute later, they were already walking home. After both of them left the academy, Akame took a deep breath of air and exhaled with relief, and immediately became her own. Naruto just looked at the sky, then took out his headphones and connected them to the phone, turned on the music. After a while, he asked his sister, taking off one earpiece, "Listen Akame, what will you do when you move to the city?" She stared at her brother. "Why did you ask that so suddenly? I just want to know if you're ready to leave us." "Listen, brother, you know that I can't answer this question, you don't want to answer this question, but the ones you answered on a piece of paper, so it's you with joy. Naruto, if you bother with such questions, then no one will be friends with you." "So what?" "Yes, you." "Humph," snorted, "I'm not talking to you anymore." "That's how, so I will be hated by others. I just asked her and she lets talk all sorts of nonsense," flashed through his head. The children walked home in silence, no one wanted to talk to each other. When they entered the apartment, they saw their mother looking at them with a smile. "How did it go?" "Everything's fine Mom, I've worked really hard," Akame said, as if not seeing her brother. "It's just wonderful." "Naruto, what about you?" He took off his shoes and went to his room without even answering his mom's question. Irami was surprised by the behavior from her son and immediately looked at Akame with a serious face, but she only turned her head away. Irami sighed in frustration and went to the kitchen to cook dinner. The girl went into the room to look for her brother, but not finding him there, she went to the balcony, where she saw him. He was sitting on a small sofa and drawing something, listening to music with both ears. There was no emotion on his face, and his eyes were half closed. The girl went to the room where her mother was and sat down at the sofa, starting to watch TV. Akame, what happened between you? Nothing, Akame, tell me. She said in a harsh tone. Yes, I'm telling you, nothing. Listen, darling, I'm not acceptable to quarrels, especially at my house. If you don't tell me, you'll be left without lunch. He's like this because of the test. The girl lied. Akame. Arg, we quarreled over his question. And what did he ask? What will I do if I move to the city? That's it. And that's it? You're not telling me. Tell me everything. Okay. He asked me and I told him that if he asks people such stupid questions, they will get tired of him. That's it, Akame, he asked you this question and you didn't answer it. It follows that you didn't give a damn about him. Yes, I didn't spit on him. Then why didn't you answer? You didn't want to, did you? Yes, he asked you a question because he's worried about you, and you didn't give a damn about him. And why worry about me? And Mom? Yes, because you are his sister. Shouldn't he be worried about you? Why? Because he's afraid that if you move to the city, he won't see you anymore. And worry about it? What could possibly happen to me? You'll stop talking to him. There will be a lot of friends and you won't be able to spend time with him. He might get depressed because of it. And that's what you want, right? Akame? The girl was silent and could not answer, but her mother was right. If she moved to the city, she would forget about Naruto. After the conversation, everyone fell silent. Dinner was ready and Irami set the table and asked Akame to call Naruto. She went into the room and told Naruto to go to lunch, but there was no answer. She went to the balcony and saw that the boy was lying motionless. Coming closer and seeing that the boy was asleep, she decided not to wake him up and then returned to the room again. Saying that her brother was asleep, Irami was surprised by this, but after thinking about it, she gave up trying to wake her son. 2 hours later, Naruto woke up from a mortal dream, got up from the sofa and left the balcony. He did not see Akame here and went to the living room, where Irami was sitting and watching TV. Good afternoon, Sonia. Aha, yawned. Mom, where's Akame? She went for a walk and will be back in an hour. That's how it is. Why did you ask? Are you worried about her? Mom asked with a small grin. No, I just asked. Don't you want to tell me? Are you talking about the fact that we don't talk to each other? You read my mind. Turned around with a smile. What's there to tell? When we were given a test for 100 questions and after graduation, I walked home with my sister and asked her, listen Akame, what are you going to do when you move to the city? She replied, Why did you ask that so suddenly? And then she started to turn away from the question and say all sorts of nonsense. I see, and that's why she treated you like that. Listen, my son, you can't ask such questions. You understand that you are different, especially you, because you are already much smarter than your peers. I know, but I just asked, because I'm worried what if she leaves us forever. Son, I'm also worried about her, but now, she's not going anywhere, because that time is still far away and you know it perfectly well, so make peace with her and be by her side, because you are her support and hope in this world. Without you you wouldn't be together and she would stay all alone. So put aside these disturbing thoughts and come up with a plan to make peace, okay? Yes, Mom, I understand everything. Thank you. He smiled. That's nice, go eat and let's watch TV together. Okay, Mom. 30 minutes later, Mom, what are we going to watch? We're going to watch one anime. Anime? Yes. This is an animation from Japan, okay, but what exactly are we going to watch? The anime is called Berserk. This is a very cool anime, about dark fantasy and a bit of cruelty. I think you'll like it, I hope. She laughed nervously. Don't worry Mom, I'll be fine. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, so we're starting. After 5 episodes, well, how do you like Naruto? Great anime, I liked it, although there is cruelty here, but it conveys all the atmosphere of this world and reveals the characters. You haven't read the manga yet, they tell you much more there. I have no doubt about it, but it's still interesting how the author of this anime imagines this world. But in any case, he's doing great. I agree with you. At least someone supports my opinion. Apparently Akame has already come. Yeah. Mom, I'm probably going to go to my room and go to bed, so you don't have to call me for dinner. Well, then good night, son. Naruto went to his room to reflect and think in particular about life and about anime. When he came into the room, he lay down on the bed with a notebook. He spent a few minutes to draw a sketch of himself together with the sword of the hero from Berserk. Having done this, he closed the notebook and put it under his pillow and fell asleep. Waking up in the morning, Naruto noticed that Akame was sitting on his bed and looking at him. Good morning, brother. Akame said in a wistful voice, I'm sorry for yesterday, I didn't think how important that answer was for you. I'll answer your question. When I move to the city, I will enter the hero and study there. If you want, you can go there with me, such a big city can't not include shinobi. But if you want to stay here, then I will visit you from time to time and tell you interesting stories. I would love to go with you, but my place is here, and how can I leave our mother alone? And it will be much more comfortable for me to live here than there. So I'm sorry, that's how. Akame went into her thoughts for a few seconds, and if Mom goes with us, I do not know, well, we can ask her what she thinks about it, then we'll ask it at breakfast. Akame was just about to get out of bed when she heard another question from her brother. By the way, why did you get up so early? Did something happen to you? I just couldn't sleep because of yesterday's quarrel. Having answered, the girl left the room. The boy sat a little longer and also followed his sister. When the children entered the kitchen, their mother greeted them and invited them to sit at the table. Today there was oatmeal with fruit and black velvet tea for breakfast. A few minutes after the start of the meal, Akame started a conversation. Mom, you know why we had a fight with my brother yesterday, right? Of course, my daughter, so that's it. Naruto wants to stay in this village because you live here. That's why I want you to come with me when I move to the city. Then Naruto will come with us, right? I looked at my brother. So what do you think, mother? Oh, my kids, you first learn and pass the exam and then we'll talk. Did you hear me? I heard you. Akame smiled. After we come home from school, you will have to think about it. Akame has not stopped grinning. Even now she has stuffed her mouth with oatmeal, which already barely chews. I heard it too. Naruto said, continuing the meal. Soon they finished their breakfast and went to the academy. Irami brought them and went about her business. The children, walking to their classroom, saw a crowd of children near the board where there was an inscription, test results. They also wondered what place they had taken. But coming up, insults began to pour in Akame's direction. Excellent student. Know-it-all. The smartest thing? Well, they raised a fuss here. And what's the big deal that you passed the test for a high score? Let's go to class, otherwise they won't calm down. Naruto said so that only Akame could hear. She took him firmly by the hand and dragged him into the classroom. Having entered there, they passed by another crowd, but already classmates. That they were standing around Ayaka and tried to bully her too, but she ignored all this. But as soon as the crowd saw Akame, they immediately said, another excellent student has come. Hearing this, Akame clung even more tightly to her brother's hand and almost ran to her place. Listen, don't squeeze my hand like that, or you'll break it, okay? But Akame did not seem to hear these words. Even when they sat down, she did not let go of her hand. Akame, don't pay attention to them, they are just jealous that there are those who are better than them. And know the best offense is defense. Insult them too, let them know that you're in charge here and that's it. Here, take the earphone and calm down, it will end soon and everyone will forget about this case. Akame let go of her hand and took the headphones and started listening to music, while burying her face in her elbow. Soon the lesson itself began. Until that moment it was impossible to reach Akame. She plunged into herself and did not come out, and so, good morning to everyone. I hope everyone has already looked at the results of their testing. Therefore, due to the fact that some may begin to offend, we, the teachers, introduce something new, those who took the first 5 places. Heads the student council and will be entitled to punish other students in the same ways as teachers. And now listen here, the rest of you who didn't get there. From now on, you can be left for additional tasks or lessons, not only by teachers, but also by students. Advice. Or simply put, they can tell you to run 100 laps around the school and you will have to do it. For disobedience, you lose your place. And you drop by 50 points, drop below your place by 100 points, you will be transferred to the faculty where ordinary people are. By enrolling there, you will no longer become a shinobi or a hero. The choice is yours. Irika stunned everyone, but it was from these words that Akame seemed to light up. She realized that she most likely entered this top 5. And now they will not dare to ridicule her, but will begin to be afraid. With your permission, I will name 2 people from this group who got into the student council. The first person is Kurama Ayako, 100 points. From today on you manage the student council, don't make a mistake. Okay. Ayako answered briefly, as if she wasn't surprised at all. The second person is Kuruzuchi Akame, 99 points. You become Ayaka's right-hand man, don't let her down. Akame couldn't say the words, so she just nodded. After all this, Irika told the 2 to stay after school and finally started the lesson. Anyway, we will have more such tests, that sucks. Naruto said almost under his breath, but Akame heard it. Do you think there will be similar tests again, and if I try to take advantage of the situation and force you to do something? Akame grinned, you will not succeed, even though you are a goddess here, but at home you are a sister. So alas, and at home mom is a goddess, so, Akame, Naruto, stop talking, forgive me and my sister, she's too active today, okay, but this is the first and last time, and my brother still can't decide whether he wants us to be considered relatives by others or not. After these words, Akame started listening to the teacher. The rest of the lesson passed in silence. Everyone listened to the teacher and did not think to interrupt, at most questions on the topic of the lesson. At this pace, for more lessons were held, and on the last Irika, he led everyone to the academic training ground. And now, we will see your fighting skills. Your task will be to force him to surrender, or to shed the first blood. And so let's go through the list. Kurama Ayaka. After these words, the girl came out and stood on the sand ring. Inuzuka Kiba will be against her. After a few moments, they were standing opposite each other. Ready? After these words, both nodded and stood in the racks. Don't be afraid, I won't hit you hard if you don't want to give up. Kiba boasted, but Ayaka didn't react to his words at all. Let's get started. After these words, Ayaka immediately lunged forward and made a jab with her left hand. Kiba blocked the attack and taking a step back, was ready to attack, but Ayaka tried to break through his block again, and she is good, she shortened the distance and drove the enemy into the defense with 2 blows. But after a moment, Irika was even more surprised. Ayaka took a step to her right and putting her foot behind Kiba, hit him with her elbow in the block that he was holding in front of his head. From this, Kiba flew back, so quickly that he did not have time to do anything. Once on the ground and feeling a lot of pain, he had tears in his eyes. But after a second, he already started crying, because Ayaka did not stop at putting her opponent on the ground. And quickly sat down next to him, hit him on the nose with her fist, thereby breaking it. That's enough. The winner is Kurama Ayako. Iruka announced after seeing all this. A dangerous girl. I thought she would only attack him with her fists and Kiba would be able to come up with something. But she put him on the ground, 10 seconds after the start of the fight. Iruka approached Kiba and began to examine him. The nasal septum is damaged, she restrained her strength, otherwise he would be screaming even louder now. After all this, Iruka called several high school students who were watching all this not far from here and they took Kiba to the medical center. Ayaka stood back in place and began to observe what would happen next. Ahem. Kurozuchi Akame and Hinata Hyuga are the next to leave. Iruka called the following. If Hinata entered the ring, she is more or less calm. Then Akame was shaking for no clear reason. Iruka noticed this, so he approached her and asked if she could fight after hearing a positive answer. He returned to his seat. Let's get started. After these words, the girls both ran at each other. This spectacle could not even be called a fight, rather, who would pull out their hair faster. The result of the fight was the victory of Akame, who, thanks to her long nails, scratched Hinata's hand. From such a fight, almost everyone who saw it just stood and laughed. This is certainly not what we expected, but the winner is Kurozuchi Akame. Go with Ayaka to the 3rd floor in the 120th office. After these words, Ayaka and Akame went back to school, and Hinata went with them. But she was on her way to get a band-aid at the infirmary. While the girls were walking to the academy, they started a conversation. Well, like them, rather Akame and Ayaka. You're Akame, right? Ayaka asked, knowing the answer perfectly well. I'm Kurama Ayako, nice to meet you in person. She smiled. Why did she talk to me? The girl was scared. We need to say something urgently. Gathering her strength, Akame said. Nice to meet you. In a moment, the girl realized that she had pronounced one word incorrectly, which caused her to blush a little. It's okay, don't worry so much. I'm just an ordinary girl like you. I'm sorry. I rarely communicate with anyone other than my brother. So Naruto is your brother? Do you think he will be able to defeat his opponent, or will he fight like you? Ayaka was slightly rude. He'll show you. My brother is the strongest. Nice, but I'm stronger. Kurama emphasized. Okay, since we're going to be on the student council now, let's try to make this school perfect, although I don't really understand what to do there, but I will try. Soon they entered the academy and separated with Hinata. They themselves went up to the 3rd floor and approached the 120th office. They knocked and immediately entered. When they came in, they saw 3 people. 2 boys and 1 girl. The first boy had long black hair up to his shoulders, because of which it was impossible to understand what color his eyes were, although if you look closely, they are most likely the same color. He is dressed in black trousers, a white shirt over which he is wearing a tie and a sweater. The second one was slightly different from the first one. Firstly, he had slightly shorter hair, at eye level. Secondly, he had gray eyes that seemed to be immersed in darkness, and the bags under his eyes only aggravated his appearance. He is dressed in white haori, which was slightly rumpled and faded, which made it slightly grayish. And finally a girl. She was standing in a black kimono with red tailoring, near the window where the wind ruffled her black hair. That they managed to get into the caramel apple that the girl was holding in her hand. Finally, everyone has come. Hayashi said. As you know, I am the hokage of this village, so I came personally to meet those who will be responsible for this academy. Which one of you is Kurama Ayako? Yeah. The girl responded, your task is to distribute tasks to your assistants. They, in turn, must fulfill them. Is everything clear with this? Hyuga asked, yes. She replied. After that, Hokage looked at the others. Your task is only one, to help her and keep order in the academy. For this I take my leave. he said, leaving. Now again to sign these piles of documents. Arg. He grumbled as he closed the door. There was silence after he left. Sighing, Ayaka turned to the other members of the council. Hi everyone, I'm Ayako Kurama, nice to meet you. She bowed. Shortly before that, Ayaka started calling the others until Naruto's turn came next. Uchiha Sasuke and Kurutsuki Naruto. Ayaka waited until both of them entered the ring. He looked at them and they nodded. Let's get started. Well, is red-haired ready? Uchiha teased. Don't be so sure. The black-haired boy ran to Naruto and wanted to punch him in the face, but after analyzing the strategy, he stepped aside. Sasuke did not lose his head and kicked with a turn. Naruto noticed it and blocked the blow with his hands, then ducked and made a cut. Sasuke fell on his back and at the same second stood up and jerked closer to Naruto. Uchiha made a right hook, and he saw a simple move, dodged to the left side and saw the opponent's open zone and hit the liver with his left hand. He bent over from the pain, but Naruto wasted no time hitting his right foot on the stomach, which made the opponent's pain even stronger. Naruto wanted to finish him off with one move, so he ran behind the opponent's back, grabbed him, and made a deflection throw. This technique was the last for the opponent. Ayaka ran up to Uchiha and examined him. Ayaka was surprised by the boy's strategy. He built such an ideal strategy without any delay and made it at the highest level, but at the same time he was glad that Naruto did not go to finish him off, as Ayaka did. Ayaka ran up to Uchiha and examined him. He was unconscious. Ayaka said the winner and took him to the medical room. After the school day is over. Naruto waited for Akame for a while, but after standing for 10 minutes near the academy and not seeing her, he decided to go home alone. Walking through the streets, he wanted some goodies and then his nose smelled the smell of confectionery. Following the smell, the boy came to the confectionery itself. Entering it, he looked at the windows and began to choose cakes for the family. For himself, he took a berry mix, for Akame, he took a cake with chocolate, and for his mother with strawberries. After making purchases and paying, he left the bakery with a package. Soon he reached the house. He walked to it without much haste. Going home, he took off his shoes and put his slippers near the entrance. I'm home. Naruto notified everyone in the apartment. When he got to the kitchen, he didn't see anyone. It immediately occurred to him that mom was still at work. Taking his cake out of the bag, he put the rest in the refrigerator. After that, he decided to make himself some tea. Having received this drink, he took it and went to the sofa. Turning on the TV and getting comfortable, I began to slowly eat a cake while watching TV. Time flew by quickly and soon he heard someone enter the apartment. We're home. Female voices sounded, lifting your lazy ass off the couch. Naruto went to meet them. In the corridor he saw his sister and mother. After greeting them, Naruto turned to Akame, where she had been for so long. She replied that she would tell about it later. When everyone took off their shoes, they went to the kitchen. Naruto decided to please his loved ones, took out cakes from the refrigerator and put them on the table. Offering to taste to his family, Akame grabbed a cake and went into the room with the words that she needed to do her homework. But before reaching the room, she heard an offer from Naruto about tea. Refusing, she went to her room. Seeing this, Naruto and Irami were confused. Mom, don't you want some tea? Naruto asked, why not? Moreover, why eat dry? She answered and sat down at the table. After making tea, Naruto put the mug on the table. And he began to sort out the products that his mother bought. Having done this, he went back to watch TV with his mother. Soon, Irami went to the kitchen to cook dinner for two, considering that Naruto would not be there. After some time, Naruto went to his room, but on the way, his mother asked him to invite Akame to dinner. Hearing this, he went into the room and when he reached Akame, he gave her these words. She closed the book and put it in her bag. She got up from the table and went to the kitchen. Naruto sat on the bed and changed into pajamas, went to bed. A new day has come. The boy was woken up by his sister and called for breakfast. Naruto got up and rubbed his eyes. After a while, he sat on the bed looking at one point, then he got out of bed, changed his clothes and went to the bathroom. He washed and brushed his teeth and then went to the room where they were already waiting for him. "Good morning, Naruto," said Irami. "Good morning to you, too, children. Since it's Friday, can we take a walk today after your studies?" "Why not?" the girl answered. Likewise, the boy replied, "That's great. And then after studying, we will go for a walk right away, okay?" Akame replied. When everyone had eaten and gathered, they moved out, and went to work, and Naruto and Akame went to the academy. "Naruto, what are you planning to do at school today?" Akame asked. "Talk to the teacher and learn about the techniques that will be on the exam. Don't you think there will be a theory in addition to techniques?" "I don't care about it, I'll pass them perfectly. Well, as far as I remember, they said that they would complicate them every time. Don't get into a regular school." The girl grinned. "Don't worry about it." "Very well. Will you tell me what techniques will be there?" "Of course, otherwise you might not pass." He grinned. "He's mocking me, then." She muttered to herself and slightly lagged behind, gave her brother a kick and ran forward. "That's how it is. Come here." Ran after the girl. Naruto and Akame ran to the academy. The girl ran to the door to the academy, opened it and rushed to the office. The boy did not lag behind and ran into the academy. Literally a minute later, the guys did not look around and knocked down Irika, who in turn was stunned and wanted to give these two a slap on the head, but the girl got up from her knees, apologized and ran. Naruto helped the teacher to stand up and apologize for such behavior and explained the situation. Irika laughed and forgave them. The boy went on to the office with a calm step and imagined how he would take revenge on his sister. The boy approached the desk and out of the corner of his eye saw Akame, who wanted to avoid her brother's revenge. Naruto took a deep breath and sat down at the desk. The girl thought she was going to get it now, but the boy did not pay attention and then Sasuke came up, whom Naruto put down with a couple of blows. The black-haired boy didn't know what to say to Naruto, but immediately the boy said, "Don't relax, Naruto, next time you won't be so lucky." "And hello to you, Sasuke, are you upset about yesterday?" "I didn't think it would upset you so much." "It didn't upset me, but put me in my place. So next time, I'll give you a decent rebuff, of course, whatever you say, but then I'll incite one of my friends." Grinned. "Do you like to stand aside like a weakling? Commendable." Having said that, Sasuke turned around and went to his room. "Hey, Sasuke, wait, I didn't say who exactly. I don't care which pawn you send." Having said that, he had already gone too far. Ha 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 ha, he was lucky, wasn't he, Akame? Rather, he made a fool of you. Or did you want me to go to him for a showdown? Well, knowing your fight yesterday, I rather stayed in the winners. Akame stuck out her tongue at her brother and turned away to get her textbooks. I imagine how you pull out his hair, and he cries and screams. "It's a pleasure." Akame laughed a little at this. What would you like to do in these lessons, draw or sleep?" I said to myself. Meanwhile, Akame's friend came into the audience. That after walking to her desk, she put down her bag and approached Akame. "Hi, did your mom scold you yesterday after we broke up?" "Hello. No, everything was fine." "That's great, you'll go to the studio after school. Advice? I wanted to take a walk with everyone to get to know everyone better. I don't even know." Akame looked at her brother. "Is something wrong?" Naruto asked. Akame looked at her friend Ayaka. "Can I take my brother? He just stays at home forever and doesn't go out." I only wanted the members of the stud.to invite the council, but in principle, why not? Brother, will you come with us?" Akame looked pitifully at Naruto. Okay, Then I'll see what happens there, hurrah. Akame was overjoyed. She wanted to come up and kick her brother again, but changed her mind, and I see, you just lit up. Okay, Akame, I ran to meet you after school. Ayaka is gone, Kem. If you hit me, I'll take revenge. I haven't forgotten about that kick. And then the bell rang. The teacher came into the classroom and greeted the students. Sitting down at his desk, he looked at Naruto and Akame. Everything is exactly the same. The boy sleeps with headphones on, and the girl is ready to study. So the school day passed, the students gathered and left the office, but suddenly Naruto came up and spoke. Irika-sensei, teach me the basic techniques. Excuse me, what? But why would you do that? Just like that, why not? Well, you can't just learn that, at least show me and tell me. Okay, let's wait until everyone comes out. Good. After everyone left, Irika started the conversation. Basic techniques, you say? I think for you, as a beginner now, you need to first learn at least a little control of the chakra. You listened to me attentively in class and you know what it is? Yes, well, that's good. So, as I said in the lessons, the chakra spreads throughout your body, and if you feel it, you will be able to control it at least a little and, most importantly, use it in battle. But for now, your task will consist of only one thing. This is a temporary disruption of your chakra flow and its abrupt release. Do you know what this is for? For her increase in blood vessels and her reserves, and no, and yes. This is one of the basic skills of shinobi. With this method, you can get rid of genjutsu, or if you can pour your chakra into others. Then rid them already. I understand you. I told you about what you can learn. And that's why I'm giving you a task. By tomorrow, you have to prepare a small report on how to use your chakra, teacher, and you know how to joke. And why did you think that? And you take a good look at my chakra. I learned how to use it, and now. Naruto released the flow of chakra and found himself in a completely empty office, and the only thing left of Irika is the inscription on the board. So you've learned how to dispel illusions. Oh, yes, wash the board and sweep the auditorium. Good luck. Irika-sensei said angrily at the teacher after Naruto, with a frustrated face, began to wipe the board and sweeping the office. He pondered revenge. After leaving the academy, he saw his sister and a friend who were discussing something. Oh, here's my brother. Seeing her brother, Akame approached him. What took you so long? The teacher, an impudent bastard, took and imposed an illusion on me and threw me out of the office. Excuse me, girls. Akame and Ayaka laughed when they heard that, and we all wondered what took you so long. Akame said through laughter. And it turns out that you were cooling off in an illusion. Okay, let's go. The others are waiting for us on the training field. I'll remember him for that. Soon they came to the training field, where two guys were standing in racks in front of each other. And there was a judge nearby. Meet Naruto. The one on the left in the shirt is Misoto, our local soul of the company. And the one standing opposite is his complete opposite. His name is Kurai. He always tries to fight. And the girl in the black kimono is Marie. So far, apart from the fact that she loves sweets, I don't know anything. Akame laughed nervously. Okay, thanks for the information. What grade are they in? The same as us, only from a different audience. Ayaka replied and sighed. What's in the office? What's now? Why are they always like a cat with a dog? Let's stand still and watch. Ayaka, can we really stand? Maybe at least this time they will find out what they want from each other. Well, have it your way. But if they leave crippled, you will be responsible. We are only observers, we do not interfere. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, stop staring at me like that. Kurai said in a cold but hard tone. Brother, I don't understand how. I look at everyone so much that you immediately got into a fight. Stop staring as if you can do anything in this life. After these words, Kurai ran at his opponent, which in advance decided to lift his arm back to inflict much more damage. But Kurai saw this, ducked slightly and made a tackle at Misoto's feet. Or so it seemed, because a second before the collision, the boy jumped forward and quickly grouped. He landed on his hands and rolled to his feet. Oppa, yes, it's time for me to perform in the circus. Misoto laughed. How infuriating you are. Kurai got to his feet and folded the seal, called the clone. Let there be one more loser on this field, but thanks to him, I will win. After these words, Kurai and his clone ran to Misoto. That he was a little shocked, because this is the first time he sees this technique live. The clone was the first to run in front of him, who hit with a right hook, which the guy easily blocked with one hand and hit the clone with his free hand. But having dispelled it, Kurai flew into his stomach, which lifted him off the ground and knocked him on his back. From the blow, Misoto was confused and did not have time to put a block. For which he missed several blows to the face. That's it. I'm stopping it. Ayaka shouted and ran to Kurai, kicked him so that he flew away from the fallen several meters. An interesting technique. It would be necessary to adopt it. Brother, do you want another funny? Look at the place where Misoto was lying. There's a log lying there. Akame pointed out. I noticed it. Substitution. Yes, everyone noticed it apparently, except Kurai himself. But he's making progress. Yesterday he couldn't even touch Misoto. And now I've brought him to the substitution. It's a pity that mom can't teach us something like that. By the type of substitution or the same clones, I like our ordinary mom, too. I agree too. But don't you think that we somehow stand out from the general background? Ayaka has been practicing in sections since early childhood. Misoto is from a rich family. I even heard that he is personally trained by Jonin. Mari is kind of engaged to Misoto and therefore can do as much as he does, maybe even more, and we are more like a Kurai, about whom I don't know anything, but looking at his crumpled and faded clothes, I don't think that his parents can buy him something else. You know, sister, the most important thing is to set a goal and go to it at any cost and achieve it. You have to become better than you are now, improve every day and achieve results, because there is no other way. That's right. But I'm interested in Ayaka's goal now. Kicking Kurai to death, I don't know, all I've seen now is enough. Let's go home already. Mom probably waited for us. You probably go, and as you said, I'll try to improve. I'll ask Ayaka to give me a couple of tips on the same sparring. Okay, just don't walk for a long time. MGM, okay, good luck. When he got home, the boy took off his shoes and decided to go into the kitchen and saw Irami there, who was sitting at the table and drinking tea. Hi Naruto. Sorry mom, Akame and I forgot about the walk. The teacher imposed an illusion on me and forced me to clean up the office. Then we watched sparring, where I learned about techniques and their seals. In general, it was a busy day. And how was your day? Yes, everything is exactly the same. Mortal boredom. Sit down, bring it. In general, it was also a busy day, so I'm not upset because of our failed plan. Said in unison. Can we watch Cowboy Bebop? With pleasure. Tomorrow is a day off anyway. Said the boy. Well, then let's not pull the cat by the balls. Sitting down on the sofa, they turned on the TV and began to enjoy watching anime. That's the end of it.